Hi, this is Dan from Knowify Customer Service. We've put together a quick video for you showing the updates to Knowify project planning that we think you guys are really going to like. We've made some pretty significant changes around the way that budgeting, scheduling, etc. are handled to make the project planning tool even more powerful than it was. So without further ado, we'll go straight into contract jobs. I've created this new job 2. We'll go into plan and track. So as before, you can reuse old project plans. None of that has changed. What we used to call milestones, we now call job phase. However, the thing is exactly the same. So when you first come in, you add either a job phase, previously milestone, or a subcontractor. So now we're going to add a job phase. We'll put in, phase 1, whatever we want to call it. You'll see that the date boxes are gone. Now I can enable scheduling right away if I know exactly the dates I want, or we can actually cost out the job, leaving the scheduling for some later date. So that's obviously one of the major changes just off the bat. Itemizing the materials budget is exactly the same, except instead of a little icon just to the right, we now have this big thing called itemized materials. Looking through the catalog, none of this has changed. So, you guys will be familiar with all of this, and as we go, hopefully this will be familiar and comfortable. So I'll add just a couple of things. Adding people is going to work pretty much the same way also, where you're going to click on this add role resource. Now, one of the major changes is that now you can actually add a job type instead of an actual person. So you can still add actual people if you know exactly who you want to schedule. But, for example, if I don't know, I can select this job type. So all these people and all these different job types listed under role, these are job types. So I'm going to select a tradesman, and I'm going to say that to complete this phase 1, I'm going to need 100 man hours of tradesman time. I could add other job roles, like a project manager. I'm going to need 2 hours. I can even select a specific person, so I mix and match a little bit. So I'm going to have Mark be the foreman on this, and he's going to need to be on the job for, let's say, 2 full-time days equivalent, so 16 hours. So what I've done here is I've budgeted 100 hours of tradesman. I don't know who the tradesman is going to be, but 100 hours of tradesman time, 100 hours of project management time, again, not yet specified, and then 16 hours of Mark the foreman's time. So when I save this, our job cost is going to work pretty much the same way as before. And what I should say, just to be clear, what Knowify is actually going to do is it's going to take the average of the hourly costs of all your tradesmen, the average of all the project manager costs, and then for Mark, because we know it's actually going to be Mark doing this work, it's going to be his personal cost that goes into the job cost. So obviously, if you can schedule people right from the bat, as in the case of Mark, you'll get a more precise cost. But since in most cases you might not even know way in advance who you're going to use, at least using the average is going to give you a pretty good ballpark estimate on the labor costs. So again, everything's going to roll up. This is all going to be familiar. We haven't made any major changes in the service agreement, so that's not going to change at all. I'll just force this to go live as a project plan so that we can just keep working in this project plan interface. Okay, so now that the project plan is live, you'll see a couple quick changes. One is that we're going to list all the materials you budgeted right away in the materials section. And then we'll actually tell you what the status is. So right now we can see that these are not ordered. As before, you'll be able to order directly out of the project plan. So now I'll just click, for example, click on this not ordered, say what I want to order, in this case the sprinkler pipes. It will take me straight into the PO section of Knowify. I just select the vendor and choose whether I want to order the whole quantity, partial quantity. That's going to be fine. It should decrement against the total quantity. You'll see when we go back. So the PO section hasn't changed. This will all be familiar. Now, here's another major and important change. And by the way, you can see here, this is now going to show the 50 of 100, and then the PO it came in again. So I would know that I still had more to order. Now, in the labor section, you probably, you saw that we budgeted based on job role. Well, now it's time to schedule and sort of say, okay, yes, let's start doing this work. So I'm going to click up here on Enable Scheduling, and then we're just going to run through and say, okay, phase 1, this is going to take whatever time. And you can do this at any point. If you want to set out your timelines as you're budgeting, that's fine. I'm doing this after the project has gone live because I think that's a more likely case. But if this is not how you want to do it, you can still do it as it was before, where timelines were set as you were budgeting. And now I'm going to set the labor timelines exactly the same to be 7/31 to 8/7. And now I'm actually going to be able to populate the resource scheduler straight out of this view. So I'm going to say, okay, tradesmen, I need to schedule a couple of these guys because this overall portion's due 8/7. So I'm going to click schedule resource. I'll select one of my tradesmen, in this case, Henry Hertz. I'll select him for, however many hours. I'll say I'm going to need him for 20 hours. I don't really know who's going to be what I'm going to need for the latter half of next week, so I'll schedule him for 20 hours through next Tuesday and submit this. And you can see that this is going to drop him in here 7:31 to 8:04. I can schedule another tradesman. So John Johnson, I'm going to need him for maybe a little bit more, 30 hours, and he'll go the whole length. So I can do a lot of scheduling now within this interface. Obviously, the same is going to apply for my project manager. So I really have total control over the schedule now straight from the project plan at the resource level, which is going to be very helpful. And what's cool is, if we keep track of time the way we always have in Knowify, we'll use the Foreman view in this case. And let's say I punch in some values here. As I go back, you're going to see that this is going to aggregate up into the overall job class. So, we have Henry and John, our tradesmen, and it's showing that they're each through 5 of their total allocations, but that overall this is rolling up into 10 hours of the 100 budgeted. So this is really going to be a great way for you to keep track of budget versus actuals in a probably a more realistic real-world way than we were doing before. So we're really excited about this change. And by the way, should you ever need to edit any of these, let's say I say, oh no, I need to add more time to this, I can just click on one of these names, John will come back up, I can say, I'm going to need 40 hours of his time now, and submit this, and this is now going to make the edit. So, and that's, by the way, now pushing to the resource scheduler. So as before, everything in Knowify is still connected. This is still going to work in the way you expect it to work. We're excited about some of the changes to the mobile app also, which should make it work much more consistently in times when you have less than awesome cell reception. So that will be a good change as well. Thank you for watching this quick overview of the changes to project management. I encourage you to reach out to us if you have any questions at all. You can reach any member of our customer service team at support@knowify.com or call us directly at 212-233-3230. Thank you.